Hey, what's going on? It's your boy, and welcome back to the Blu Stew Survival Challenge. Today's episode is going to be all about checking out our surroundings and seeing what we can get from them. But before we get to that, I'll tell you what, I spent way too long on that intro, but I'm proud of it. I really like that intro. I've never really done anything like that before. It's my first time using any kind of Adobe product like After Effects and Premiere, so feel free to drop a like and subscribe just for that if you wouldn't mind. But back to the challenge. As you see, as we pull up our objectives here, we've already accomplished some of them. We've already left civilization, and we've already built a campfire. Now, my biggest concern is going to be a steady source of food and water, and also, I mean, I can build the rest of these tools, especially the stone knife, as I did here right before our little walking sequence up to this house. But food and water, that's why I made my character obese. But as you can see in the current moment, we found a car. Didn't have any gas in it, which was kind of unfortunate. Going up to the other house, it was a two-house lot with a shed. Only one of the doors was unlocked. I immediately took to taking everything that wasn't a perishable good, which is mostly alcohol, 2 bottles of wine and a soda, and then proceeded to just kind of go door by door once I made it upstairs and seeing if there was anything good in the house, which unfortunately there wasn't really, so I just had to keep going on. I wanted to get inside this shed, especially to see if there was any good loot like a generator or saws or anything, so I immediately got my axe ready. And there was a homeowner inside, so I immediately had to come up with a plan B, which involved just kind of walking away, coming back later, and checking out his house. Unfortunately, the first window didn't want to negotiate, but the second one was willing. So after letting myself in, I took myself on a quick little tour of his house to see what he had, whilst also making sure he wasn't really going anywhere anytime soon. I made sure to help myself to some of the food he had in the house, including this big old pot of soup, which I made sure to keep the pot and then also fill my water bottles. And my plan was to set an alarm on my watch and wake up later to deal with Senior Fuckface. But classic watches don't have alarms, which I found out the hard way. So I took some matches and I made the trek back to the base to kind of rethink what my plan was going to be, because I knew I was going to have to get in that shed. I knew I was going to deal with him, but my character was in no shape at that moment to do anything with that guy. So I made sure to quickly sleep on the ground and attack it later. But the shenanigans weren't over, because old Blu Stew here decided to only sleep for about 7 hours. And since there wasn't really much to do in the complete darkness, I decided to take a look at my base and kind of just lessen the load on old Blu Stew after eating some berries that I found. Afterwards, I really committed to lessening the load as I just kind of splayed everything out, helped me take inventory of the whole situation, and really helped old Blu Stew here to see how far he'd come. So he quickly lit a fire, because who the hell likes to sit in the dark, and ate some more food and decided to try to read a book, which really would help old Blu Stew here with foraging. So I was able to read for probably about an hour or so and decided to put the fire out, and then I decided to really start to shed some weight, and I went back to face my adversary, which that son of a bitch was still in that shed. I didn't realize how strong metal doors were, so I decided to kind of help him out for a little bit and then waited for him, but that wasn't enough, so I went back and tried to attack the door again. Having vanquished the old shed boy, Blu Stew helped himself to some of the good loot, which there were 2 saws and it was a shovel, which was pretty good. So I decided to do once over through the houses, and I started to notice something about these houses. I looked around. I said, "There's a lot of wood furniture in here." I actually really enjoy the fact there's a lot of wood furniture. My carpenter skill is gonna do fantastically once I actually get around to managing that. But having thoroughly looted all the houses of anything useful, I immediately proceeded to eat shit and then decided to find the nearest road and kind of just look around for a little bit, see if there was anything else, which I found a warehouse. It's a pretty nice warehouse. Wasn't really any usable loot. I did find a crowbar, which was nice. It was very nice to find a crowbar, actually. And then I went back to the road, and almost immediately I was able to find another house. At least it looked like a house. As I got further, I realized it was a barn and a chicken coop. Going inside, obviously there weren't any animals, but there also wasn't really much loot either. There wasn't anything in the barn, just a bunch of hay. This all being said, just a stone throws away, there was an actual house, which I was quick to try to get into the shed that was offset from the house. And it was here that we actually met another homeowner, which was nice. I wanted to let her out, however, she decided to make her own way out, which is fine. It's her house, I don't care. And I was very quick to get rid of her. But I wanted to be generous, so I cleaned her window for her and went to go check out her garage, where I did find a book, which was pretty nice. And then afterwards, I let myself into the house and had a look around. The radio was on, which took me off guard at first, but then I was quick to realize that old Blu Stew here really needed it, especially since he was a nervous wreck and also getting a little depressed. But this all was short-lived because I immediately started hearing some banging on the door. And so Blu Stew went to go investigate. Down his spear, Blu Stew decided to keep going through the house and seeing what was there. It wasn't really too much, just a lot more wood to really build up that carpenter skill. But there was some vitamins and there was a few bandages as well. Seeing as there really wasn't much left in the house, Blu Stew went ahead and let himself into the shed, which, by the way, this marks 2 generators now. I have entire playthroughs where I don't see a single one. So back to the camp, Blu went and he went ahead and helped himself to some chocolate, tried to read, make the camp look a little bit better. And it was at this point where I kind of thought to myself, I'm really close to a bunch of other houses and I want this to be an actual like wilderness kind of challenge where you have to make his own cabin. So I made Stu kind of sleep. Of course, he woke up at a god-awful hour again. So I knew I was going to have to get him some actual furniture soon because it's getting ridiculous. Either way, started to take off the bandage from when I ate shit earlier. And then also tried to read again, trying to really just finish this foraging book once and for all. I was really starting to regret making him a slow reader, but after like, say, 2 hours or so, still wasn't done. But there was stuff to do. It was a new day, and if Blu Stew didn't want to be awake for it, then honestly that was his problem. So after eating a little bit of food and thinking about what I was going to do today, I finally decided it was time to do some foraging, which to my surprise, I was actually right on the cusp of level 4, so that volume 2 book was completely useless now. But Stu was still pretty heavy, he was pretty encumbered, so I decided to start putting everything down. I didn't like how I had to keep using like the cereal and the alcohol, so I went foraging for some actual food, and I found a tomato, and I got really excited at this. Kind of embarrassing, but I immediately grabbed the shovel and I was going to dig some furrows, because I really wanted to start my farming journey, be able to get some sustainable food. But it wasn't until after I was done digging both furrows I realized I didn't have enough seeds. I only got 3 from the one wild tomato, which I figured I'd go find more, but after 2 hours I kind of just gave up and just had a little quick snack. You know, right now it's not that big a deal, but I did want to start clamping down on how unfit old Blu Stew was, so I immediately started to figure out what would be the best exercise to get him into a better shape. After the little exercise session, I decided it was time to get some wood, so Blu immediately went to go chop down some trees. It was really starting to slowly dawn on me at this point how much wood I was actually going to need if I wanted to build a full compound, but I was up for the challenge, I was. And I'm hoping that old Blu here doesn't die before he's able to fully build his compound. But that's a worry for another day. So he went out, he put some stuff down, he went out to go cut another tree. Talk about a stroke of luck with that last swing being the one that broke the axe, but I still managed to fall the tree. Then to get a feel for how much wood I actually had, I went ahead and sawed all the logs that I found. Which, to be fair, it was a decent amount of wood, but it was nowhere near enough to build a house. So I decided I might as well start trying to deconstruct some of the furniture, so I immediately set out to go build this stone hammer. Luckily, I was able to find an actual stone pretty freaking quick. And at this point, all I really needed was some ripped cloth, which I knew some volunteers who wouldn't mind giving away some clothes. And just like that, another objective was complete. But we were nowhere near close done, so I immediately set out to start to trying to deconstruct all the furniture. And I realized I forgot to bring a saw. All I had was a screwdriver. So I started taking down the doors. I realized that I could actually take down the beds, which was pretty cool. So after taking as many nails and scrap wood as I could, Blu Stew headed back, simply at breakneck speeds. Jesus fucking Christ, this is gonna take a while. But after a while, I was able to get back, and I was able to put all the scrap wood into the fire, which was pretty nice. I was hoping to be able to actually have a fire tonight, which, with the fact that winter was already well upon us and it was only going to get colder, I decided to have a quick celebratory drink, grab a saw, and I was immediately back to the house. I immediately took to just disassembling everything I could. And after that was another long-ass labored walk back to camp. With everything said and done, I had over 14 hours of campfire, which is pretty nice. So I lit a fire and went ahead and just kind of relaxed for a little bit. The day was coming to an end anyway, so Blue went ahead and popped the top of the white wine and gave himself a little bit of a help into it. Afterwards, it was time to do some more reading because we were going to need to farm, and we were going to need to farm a lot. So he went ahead and read a good amount of the farming book. Which immediately afterwards, it was time to go to bed anyway. Which this time, he actually decided to get a full night's rest, which, whatever, dude. But it was time to do some exercises, and it's also time to conclude part 2. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.